Hello and welcome, everybody out there in Union Arena Land. Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Today, we are going over one of my favorite decks from the new Yu Yu Hakusho set. This is a deck I have titled Salt and Pepper because you just continually push it. So, this is a deck that utilizes many different mechanics surrounding this Jin card and other purple cards inside of the IP in order to push your opponent's potential blockers into their energy line. It is a forced movement, much like the 4-1 Raid Kenshin, and it is hilarious how consistent this deck is with moving things out of the way and getting big chunks of damage and forcing unfavorable blocks. So, we'll start off with this Jin card, which is actually a really good SR. So, your opponent cannot choose this character with an ability on an event card unless they place one card from their hand into their sideline as an additional cost. Meaning, if they want to interact with this with any of their event cards, they have to sideline a card. That is such a monumentally strong ability to just base level have on a card, and on a card that gets to be aggressive. This does not count for any character ability, so keep that in mind. They can still UG raid bounce it, they can still raid a Toshi and tap it, all of that stuff. But you can still get a lot of pressure out of this card outside of that. When played, choose up to one character on your opponent's front line, move it to their energy line. When moving the character to the energy line, if the energy line is full, your opponent chooses one card on their energy line and places it into their removal area. This deck likes to just push it into your opponent, and I'm not saying that just for the meme, but that is literally what it likes to do. You also have this, I'm never going to pronounce their name properly, so I'm not going to try, card. This character gets plus 500 BP during your turn. So it's a 4K on your turn. It comes in resting, but it's okay. It's a good enough effect that you want it. When played, if your opponent's energy line is not full already, you may place one card from your hand into your sideline. If you do, choose up to one character on your opponent's front line, move it to their energy line. So the majority of times when people raid a card from their energy line, push it up, they leave a spot open. You can easily have a turn where you play this guy, push that character back to their energy line, and then raid Yuji and push their other character back, removing something. It's something you have to be very careful and consider what you're going to be pushing out of the way as you are applying pressure with all of your other cards. The other pressure card, the Choo Choo Train himself, Chu. He comes in active as a 4-2, which is already like the baseline, what you need nowadays. If a 4-2 doesn't come in active, it better remove something or it's kind of unplayable. But yeah, he comes in active. When played, he becomes a 5k damage 2 until end of turn. When attacking, if your opponent's energy line is full, draw a card. That means he has insane matchups into all of the big green decks that are out there. All of them that organically put in their energy lines and fill it up. You get to go, here's my double damager active for 2 AP, swing, I draw a card at minimum. Not to mention, even against the more aggressive decks, you can forcibly fill their energy line utilizing your other cards, and 2 other cards in this deck as well, before swinging with him, meaning he's generating you card advantage. And the fact that he only has damage to once, yes, only once, means your opponent's going to have to be very careful about who they prioritize killing. The named card in the deck is Jin. He's associated with your special, so they might target him. I'm going to tell you, you want to kill the Chu. And that is because of beautiful Suzuki. This card is so incredibly good. I've seen it in 0 lists in JP, but in all of my testing, I've been able to play this card for massive amounts of value against my opponent, and it is hilarious how consistent it becomes. So, when played, choose up to one character on your field with 4 or less required energy other than a Suzuki card. This character activates all of the chosen characters' when played abilities. So, if you give it to Chu, he becomes a damage 2er as well. This character gets the plus 1k damage 2. If you do it to this guy, you get to discard a card to push somebody back as well. If you do it to Jin, you get to push something back as well. So it's a combo piece that combos with your other big scary threats, and it doesn't have an action requirement. It only has an energy requirement. So it's very consistent that you can remove 2 blockers from your opponent, pushing that extra damage and then going, cool, let's keep moving along. It is scary how consistent this deck is. We also have the 1-drop Jin that has Draw Pitch. That is the other card in the deck that you can activate its When Played ability. It's the worst one out of them by far, but in a desperate situation, you can still just raid and do that. Now, let's go over the last push it card, the special. It is upsetting that this deck does not have an actual removal spell, but this was made in the before times, before everybody got to have insane specials that had different abilities on them that made it so you weren't killing characters, you were bottom decking them, you were drawing cards, all of those. However, it's still very good in this deck. It always chooses a character with 5,000 or less BP on your opponent's front line and moves it to their energy line. If Jin is on your field, draw a card. So it at least replaces itself and allows you to be very aggressive with your pushing. Keep in mind, we have 7 or 11 cards outside of the special, 15 cards that removes blockers out of your way. It's very consistent if you look at it. You don't necessarily need impact if your opponent just can't block, right? I'm not crazy here. Impact is only good when your opponent can block. You're not getting blocked. You're pushing stuff out of the way. And if something's too big, you push the big thing out of the way. None of these have stipulations on BP size. Just push it. Move it. Get out of here. Now, the last card in the deck, which is the support card for Beautiful Suzuki, is this thing. So I'm going to simplify all of this text for you. If you don't have a Beautiful Suzuki card in play, it's look at the top 3, add a character, and an event to your hand among them. It also says Sight, but you're not really going to play Sights in this deck just to have an extra draw card. The Sight that is available in this is kind of ass. It's really bad. You don't want to play it. However, if you have a Suzuki in play, you turn that look at the top 3 into top 7. You are searching the top 7 cards of your deck for an event and a character. So for all of those people who are like, I don't like searchers, I have to bottom deck all my specials and finals. No, you don't. Take it. Get that final and get your Chu, or get your character that pushes something back, or get your Jin, or get another Beautiful Suzuki. And if you don't see a final amongst it, get your special to push something again out of the way. And if you don't see either of those, this is an event itself. You can just use it to keep cycling through your deck and stacking the bottom of your deck in chunks of 5. That is insane. And it's an active trigger, so woohoo, win. Now, everything else in the deck is played either because it's a trigger or because it's a raid target. This Onji, it's Beautiful Suzuki. Spoiler alert, it says so on the card. Jin, he's a get trigger as well. Both of these are get triggers. They're the raid targets. You do that. This is a 2-drop draw a card trigger. Or a 0-cost 2k draw a card. You're playing it. Draw Pitch, it's a very good aggressive card. I love these cards. Even though it doesn't have a trigger, it's a little sad, but it's comparable to Renji, which is what I compare this deck to. A Renji Rush style deck. Then we have this card, which honestly, I was kind of surprised in all of my testing how good it is. A 2-drop 3k with double block and nullify impact. That's kind of cracked. It doesn't have a trigger, and I'm never going to say that having a trigger, is something that doesn't need. No, it needs a trigger. If this had a trigger, it would be an insanely good card. But it's still a really good card as is. Nullify impact in a pinch. Oh no, you're swinging in with your big thing for that final damage. Nullify impact. It dies. Or double block. Oh no, you're swinging in with all of your little chip guys trying to get chip damage in. Double block. It's relevant text that is on these cards. Then we have the Raider itself and the color trigger Jin. If your opponent's front line is not full, this character gains 1,000 BP. So a funny thing that I like to do, it's very funny, is when I am forced to push up this Jin, because he is the only double N producer in the deck, you kind of want to keep him on the back line, but there's situations where you push up. I attack with him last. because I want them to block my double damager or block my 4K or block my 4K. And if they block any of those, magically, he's a 4K. So he's a really good pressure card in this deck as well. It is a very, very strong deck that I think a lot of people are sleeping on. Its biggest weakness is the trigger count. I'm not going to lie. Only 39 triggers. And if you look at all the triggers that we do have, it's 16 get, 3 active, 4 draw. Now, the numbers on the surface looks really bad. I know it's not good to have less than 40 triggers. Everyone's spoiled by main character syndrome decks that all get to play 46 triggers. I get it. I understand. However, this is an aggro deck. Blocking is for if I get some value out of my life, why wouldn't I just do that? You're not really stuck blocking that often. Treat this like the Jin Rush decks that have just been performing insanely well into our meta, and just keep trucking and slamming into your opponent. Your job is to clear their blocks, push in damage, clear their blocks, push in damage, and late game when they think they're comfortable, you Rainbow Cyclone, clear their blocks, and push in damage. You are just trying to kill them. Having triggers out of life would be fantastic. It'd be amazing. But unfortunately, I don't think that is something this deck gets to do. Now, a careful consideration, personally, because we have this double block card, I would like to play more active triggers. Karasu, being a 0-cost 2K, is the only reason I'm playing it over this guy. He's only a 500. I'm not pushing up with him and being aggressive, which means none of my zeros want to be aggressive. I want to keep my Jin as a raid target. I want to keep my Anji, or Beautiful Suzuki, as a raid target. I'm going to throw him in the front line and smash you in the face. This little guy, I don't want to put him in the front line and smash you in the face. Though he is an active trigger. It is worth considering playing him inside of this deck. I think it's maybe right to do it, but I still like the value of on play more than the value out of life. As great as it is to have a double block with an active trigger at that, it is what it is. You're using him to double block the little guys. You're not using him to double block the big guys. You're using him to nullify impact the big guys, which is great. Or you're using him as a raid target, which is also great. But yeah, this deck has a lot of different, very interesting lines. And for everybody who's been sitting here the whole time, I'm going to go ahead and show you the boring Jin deck as well. We call this one boring. If you remember in the anime, he was like, oh, sorry, Yusuke, this is going to be a boring match. You can't do anything, I fly. Yeah, this is the boring version. It's 46 triggers. You don't get to play the Beautiful Suzuki. You don't play the event card. But what you do play instead is this Karasu raid. You have 8 double ends now, so you can play the 5 cost. When played, you draw 2, pitch 1, but if your opponent has a 3K or smaller, you just draw 2 instead. That is so incredibly valuable and good. And then we also have Bui. And he's just a hilarious card into our current meta. Honestly, that's what he's here for. He's here to stare at your opponent, go, okay, I block. And just, that is what he does. We still have the Chu package. We still have the Jin package. We replace some of the other cards with an active trigger, 1-drop, 2.5k. We're playing him because we don't have to play the other get guy. And Karasu helps filter through the deck as well. Personally, I like the Suzuki card so much more for this style of deck, just to say Chu has double damage again, or Jin gets to push something again, or the other 4-drop gets to push something again. I think that is so much more value, but this is another version of the deck that you can look into and enjoy. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell me what your thoughts are. Which version do you think you're going to be trying, and how often are you going to be listening to Salt and Pepper during all of this? We'll see you in the next one.